Wahlberg tweeted about the death of George Floyd. He said that it was heartbreaking and we must work together to fix the problem, and added the hashtag Black Lives Matter. Some were quick to dig up Wahlberg's past hate crimes when he was a teenager, and now others in the sports world are being outed for their past racist comments or actions. So Shannon, do Wahlberg's past high school incidents make you feel differently about him now?
Skip, and I mentioned this earlier, Skip, I don't really like branding someone with that scarlet letter for a one-time incident. This happened long ago, and that's not an excuse, because I don't excuse you. He knew what he was doing, and he did it. But is there a pattern of behavior from that moment? Has anything else occurred along these lines? Now, he's been in Hollywood, and he's worked with a lot of black actors, support groups, and people that are around. So it'd be interesting to see if someone else can come out and say, I had a story, and he said something that was racially, right towards me.
I've never heard one.
I've never heard it. Now, I've been around him a handful of times, and so, but that's not to say I don't know. It's Skip, when people always ask me, Shannon, you ever met such and such? I was like, yeah, what's he like? Well, I can tell you what he's like around me at that moment. I don't know what he's going to be like around you. I don't know what he's going to be like in his private life. I can just tell you, I can just speak to a specific moment. So around me, he was on the show, Skip. What, 2 months ago? He was on the show. I had a great time talking to him. I've been around him at a couple of sporting events. And so, Skip, I'm very cautious to paint someone with that brush for a one-time incident that was 34 years ago. Now, when you got situations like the Utah D.C., and you have a player saying this, but Skip, what we're seeing, and we talked about this on Friday, Skip, I believe over the next 3 months, 6 months, a year, you're going to have more of this coming out, especially if you hashtag Black Lives Matter, because people are going to go back and dig and say, okay, try to find something and say, okay, did Black Lives Matter then when you said this? And so that's what we're going to get. It's kind of like you said to Me Too. People go back and like, well, he did this in 1970, he did this in 1980. Skip, if there's a history, if there's a pattern, okay, now you got my undivided attention. Because I believe, people have said things in anger and frustration, that not to excuse it. Because I don't want to excuse him saying that word, because everybody knows in England, across the world, they know what that word is, Skip. You talk about vile, that's vile in any language, in any country, on any continent.
True.
But I haven't heard of Mark Wahlberg having any other instances in which race or racial epithet was uttered, or he treated someone. That's not to say it didn't happen, but I haven't heard it. But the Iowa strength coach, what you're starting to see, Skip, you're starting to see more than one player. It wasn't one. Because, Skip, a lot of times it's one, you can brush it off. Now, there's a situation that happened down in Clemson. Dabo Swinney's going to have to address. He's going to have to address this.
Yep.
He had a Football Matters T-shirt on. It's all fine and good and it's cute, and you can pray and you can have faith and read the Bible all you want to, but you're going to have to address these issues, Dabo. They're not going away.
No.
They're not going away.
Okay, so I want to make the point that what happened yesterday concerning Mark Wahlberg, he trended all day yesterday on Twitter, and it wasn't because of a gotcha moment. It wasn't because a watchdog went back into his Twitter past or whatever past and said, aha, got you.
Right.
These racial incidents, these hate crimes have been existing on his Wikipedia page, hiding in plain sight since Wikipedia was born. Trust me, it's been there. I've had Mark Wahlberg on shows dating back to First Take. I don't know what year the first time, maybe 2014 was the first time we had him on. And I did read his Wikipedia the night before. And I said to our producers, I read about these hate crimes. I'm going to ask him. I'm sorry, I just can't not ask him about these, because I was not aware of his past as a teenager in Boston, just how out of control these were. And sure, okay, and I did. And he took it. He owned it. He didn't run from it. He didn't duck. He didn't dodge. He said, I was out of control, and I did learn a lot of lessons, and I paid for it. He did go to jail. It was a 2-year sentence. I don't know how he served only 45 days. But remember, there were two things that happened. There were back-to-back days when he was 15 years old which he threw rocks and chased black children, like 3rd and 4th graders, calling them, yelling the N-word at them. And I'm talking about the N-word, the most evil, vile word in the history of this language. And then at age, he's 15 then at 17, he attacked a Vietnamese man with a big wooden stick and just beat him almost to the brink of his life.
Right.
And that's the one he got arrested for and charged for and convicted of.
Right.
Okay, he also went after another Vietnamese man and punched him in the eye. He thought he'd knocked his eye out, but the Vietnamese man later said, I lost it in the war.
Right.
Okay, so then in 2014, around that time, maybe he was on the show, Wahlberg applied for a pardon of his convictions and finally dropped the attempt at a pardon because one of the black